Hey guys, this is Mr. T. Welcome to Consumer Set, and let's talk about the lesson for today. Alright, so the objective is to do an analysis of overdraft fees. So click on assignments and then click at the one that says Project Overdraft Fee Analysis. It's a Google document. So the project is going to ask you to analyze different fees from different banks, and it starts by telling you the scenario of Joshua and how much money he has in the bank and how much money he has spent. So for the project you have to use two charts. Using the information provided from the two charts, you got to determine how much Joshua would pay in overdraft fees at each bank. So for Citibank, HSBC Bank, Regions Bank, SunTrust Bank, TD Bank, and Wells Fargo. For part 3, you're going to use the calculations that you did for part 2 and just write them down. So for example, how much did Joshua spend on actual purchases throughout the course of the day. We're going to do that together right now. And then we're going to also do two calculations from two banks. So for part 4, you have to analyze your findings from the previous parts and then just write it down. Alright, so when you open the first chart gives you the name of the bank, and then for each part it tells you, the first part tells you the overdraft coverage per item, and then the middle column tells you the maximum fees per day, and then the third column tells you the total possible cost. For example, for the first bank there's a $28 fee, and then there's an unlimited amount of fees that you could pay per day, so that's not good. And there's no, because it's unlimited, there's no limit to the amount of money that you could pay in a day. Some banks have a limit. For example, Bank of America has four fees per day with a maximum amount of $140. So that's how you read this chart. Alright, so when you click on the second chart, it's very similar. It has the same banks, and this one, the more check marks it has, the better it is. For example, the first bank has the 3 check marks. That means that for the first column, they don't charge you for ATM overdrafts. They don't have any charges for using your debit card, and also they don't order the fees or the transactions that you have per day, because some banks like to, for the amount of transactions that you have per day, they like to first start with the ones that had the highest amount of money, and then they go to the lowest amount of money, which could be bad. Alright, so please look at both charts carefully and also read the information to help you understand them more. Alright, so the first part of the project was to analyze the charts. For the second part, we're going to figure out how much money he spent. So the problem says when the day begins, Joshua has $116 in his checking account, and he has overdraft protection. Before school, he buys his cousin a round-trip bus fare for $4 using his debit card. He then uses the card to get gas in his car for $43. Once the banks open, a check he gave to school for his senior yearbook clears, and $75 comes out of his account. Joshua's Netflix account subscription is automatically debited today, so another $10 leaves the account. After school, he heads out with his friends and uses his debit card to buy a $3 coffee. He sends a person-to-person payment of $15 to his friend Brian for his share of dinner. And then finally, he finishes out the day with some shopping to buy new soccer gear for $35 using his debit card at the store. So now that we have listed all the transactions, all we have to do is add them up. So 4 plus $43 plus 75 plus 10 plus 3 plus 15 plus 35. It's a total of $185. So as you can tell, he spent more money than what he had, so he has a negative amount now, because he had 116 and he spent 185. Alright, so now we have enough information to answer question 1 and question 2. And now let's look at question 3, where we look at each individual bank and figure out the fees for each bank. Alright, so let's look at the first one of the banks, so SunTrust. So let's use the first chart. The first chart tells me that there's a $36 fee and there's a 6 limit for the amount of fees per day and a possible limit of $216 per day. So I'm going to write down the amount for the overdraft fee. And then for the second chart doesn't have check marks, so that means that I do get charged for using the ATM if I don't have enough money. And I also get charged a fee every time I use my debit card. Also, the third column doesn't have a check mark, which means that the bank likes to organize your transactions for a day from highest to lowest. So they'll first deduct the highest amount. So in this case for Joshua, they'll deduct the yearbook, which was $75, and then they'll deduct the other ones. So let me fix my information. So for the yearbook, like I said, I have a balance of $116. For the yearbook, I got a charge of $75. So 116 minus 75, it's $41. And then for gas, so that's my second highest, is $43. So 41 minus 43, now I have negative $2. So now I have to pay the overdraft fee of $36 because I don't have any more money. And then the third highest from my list is the soccer gear, which is $35. So negative 2 minus 35, that would be negative 37. So again, I have to pay a fee of $36. And then the person-to-person transaction is my fourth highest, so I have a charge of $15. So 37 minus 15, it's negative 52. And once again, I gotta pay a fee. There's no limit on the amount of fees, so I gotta pay a fee every time I keep making transactions for that day. And then for Netflix, I have a $10 transaction, so negative 52 minus 10, that would be negative 62. So once again, another fee of $36. And the bus fare, that is $4, so negative 62 minus 4 is negative 66. So once again, another fee of $36. And then finally the coffee, which had a charge of $3, so negative 66 minus 3 will be negative 69. So another fee of $36. So now I'm gonna add up my fees to see how much I owe the bank. So it's $216. So now that we know the amount of fees that we pay for SunTrust, we just go back to the document, and for part 3 where it says SunTrust, write down $216 a month because that's how much we paid in fees. Alright, let's do another bank. Let's do Wells Fargo. By the way, no apostrophe necessary, just a typo. So when you look at the first chart, it says that you pay a $35 fee. There's a limit of 3 fees per day and a possible amount of $105. When we look at the second chart for Wells Fargo, it tells me that I do have to pay ATM overdraft fees. I do have to pay debit card fees when I have an overdraft, but I do not have to reorder my transactions. So that means I can put them in the order that they happen and not from highest to lowest. So the original transaction that I had for that day, or that Joshua had for that day, was the bus fare. So for the bus fare, it was $4. So 116 minus 4 is 112. So I'm good. I still have enough money. For gas, $43. So 112 minus 43, that will be $69. So I'm still good. I still have money. And then for the yearbook, I spent $75. So 69 minus 75, that will be a negative 6. And that means I already spent more money than what I have. So that means I have to pay a fee of $35. And then the next transaction was the Netflix account. So that was $10. So -6 minus 10, that will be -16. So I have to pay a fee of $35. The next one that I did, or that Joshua did, was I paid $3 for coffee. So -16 minus 3 is -19, so a $35 fee. And then the person-to-person transaction, that was $15, so -19 minus 15, that's -34. So because this Wells Fargo has a limit of 3 fees per day, I don't have to pay a fee for this transaction. And then the soccer gear, I paid $35. I still have a -69 now. Once again, there's a limit of 3, so I don't have to pay a fee, which is good. So in total, I have to pay $105 for going over the amount of money that I have. Alright, so now it's your turn to try the calculations for the other banks. So just keep in mind that for some banks you don't have to reorganize the transactions from highest to lowest. And for some banks you also don't pay fees when you use your debit card, even if you don't have enough money, or when you use your ATM. So be careful with the check marks when you look at the charts. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know, and we'll continue next time.